The transfer portal officially opens on Monday, but at this point, that is just a formality. Take a look at some of the best available transfers that we are going to be breaking down in this episode. And if you watched yesterday, Travis Branham was on explaining how the portal may open on Monday, but already we have hundreds of players in, either because they're grad students or because they are allowed to enter after there has been a coaching change. And of course, the coaching carousel is operating at full speed. For more on that, we are going to welcome back in Travis Branham, the 24/7 Sports national recruiting analyst, and as I like to say, the czar of the transfer portal. Trav, I want to specifically ask you about Bryce Hopkins, because this is a player who did not play very much this year, who has been rumored to want to reunite with his former head coach, Ed Cooley, who is now at Georgetown. He is in the portal, or expected to be in the portal on Monday, with a do not contact sign. Is this a sure thing for Georgetown, or are there other dynamics that could be in play here?
Yeah, back when he got hurt earlier this season, smoke started rising that he would eventually hit this transfer portal, and the talk throughout the whole season and so far up to this point has been he will reunite with Ed Cooley, who brought him to Providence when he entered the transfer portal from Kentucky. Now, as we've recently learned over the past couple of years in this transfer portal, when a player enters the portal with a likely destination or with plans to go to a school, it's not always a guarantee that they will end up there. With this new NIL era, schools are getting very aggressive in looking to intercept these players. Now, do I think he ultimately ends up with Georgetown? I think that's the likeliest scenario, but we are not holding our breath and ruling out any other aggressive suitors coming in to make a block there.
All right, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with maybe Georgetown's biggest competition coming from a fellow Big East school. Trav, we're in NCAA tournament time, and we're talking about college stars like Janai Broome, like Chaz Lanier, like Mark Sears, but all of those guys started their college careers at the low or mid-major level before transferring up and becoming some of the biggest names in college basketball. With that in mind, I want to ask you, have we seen any names from the low to mid-major ranks declare their intention to go into the portal who could be in that same bucket and have the potential to blossom into stars?
Yeah, right now, the one guy that comes to mind is Wyoming transfer Obi Agbim. He is a third-team All-MVC player, but a guy that's 6'3" guard that's extremely quick and dynamic with the ball, scores from all three levels, is just a very dangerous shot maker, both from mid-range and three. He can get to his spots and create a shot at any time that he wants, and so he already has dozens of high majors in pursuit. Now, the one area in his game that I think he can grow and improve the most in is what he brings on the defensive end of the floor. I think there's a lot of lapses in his effort and things on that end, but offensively, this kid is a weapon, and he is going to be one of the top transfers in the portal this cycle that could be a true star at his school next season.
Trev, I want to ask you about Nick Davis. He's a name that Isaac Trotter, who was just on this show, he has been advocating. He's a big fan. But I know, listen, nothing is guaranteed in the portal. We saw this last year. There are players who literally get multi-million-dollar deals who don't live up to the hype. Where are you on Davis and what he could be at the high major level?
Yeah, Nick Davidson, 6'9", 6'10", big man out of Nevada. Kid, watching his film, what's really stood out to me about him is just the toughness, skill set, and feel for the game that he possesses. A kid that can step out, make shots on the perimeter. He's not afraid to go down low and body with guys in the paint, get on the glass, but he can also really pass. And so looking at what Nick Davidson can provide a team, I think he's a plug-and-play power forward all the way and going to be a starter at the high major level and can contribute to winning and making an NCAA tournament run for a team next year.
Let me ask you about Bennett Stirtz, because I thought he was just absolutely phenomenal last night against Mizzou. I think in this day and age of college basketball, when there is a mid-major star like we just talked about, the high majors start circling, whether he's officially in the portal or not. What are the expectations about what Stirtz's future could look like following this season at Drake?
Yeah, he is an absolute superstar. If you haven't been following him much this season, you got a great glimpse of who he is and what he's been doing literally all season long at Drake. Very skilled and tough, and I mean tough guard that can do everything for his team and does everything for his team. And yes, of course, there's a lot of talk around the industry. People would love to get their hands on him, but it sounds like he is very loyal to Ben McCollum, and Ben is involved with multiple jobs. There's a lot of talk that maybe could he end up at West Virginia? Could he go to Iowa? I think wherever Ben ends up next year, it's likely that Bennett Stirtz will end up there with him.
Second year in a row, we could see a Drake head coach moving on along with their star player, as McCollum and Stirtz could emulate what DeVries and DeVries did last year. Speaking of the coaching carousel, Trav, it sounds like Texas is going to be the latest school to make a change. And what we have seen over the course of the last couple of weeks is when these firings takes place, it's just mass entry into the portal. What do we know about the state of this Texas roster and just how much talent could presumably be headed to the portal and what it means for the future of that program?
Yeah, when looking at this Texas roster, they're going to be losing some players to the portal. We are already anticipating a couple of these guys to hit the market, but where all the damage is being done is guys like Trey Johnson. We're expecting him to go to the NBA draft, and the rest are just graduating. They're out of eligibility. So whoever gets this job is going to have a completely clean and fresh slate, and they're going to have to do a similar job once they are hired, similar to what we saw with Mark Pope when he was hired at Kentucky. John Calipari and that entire roster, there was nothing there. Similar with West Virginia when they got hired. Darren DeVries got hired last year. Same with Pat Kelsey at Louisville. Had absolutely no scholarship players on roster. But in the new NIL era and this transfer portal era, all you have to do, get hired, immediately raise some funds, energize that fan base, and then get out there and hit the recruiting trail and the transfer portal hard to rebuild this roster. They have one current high school kid signed to them in John Clark. It is a question, will he remain committed? And I don't think we'll have the answer to it until a new hire is made.
All right, for much more of Travis's work and coverage of the transfer portal, you can head on over to 247sports.com. It is must-stop shopping, and we've got a special deal for the people who are watching this show. You won't find this anywhere else on social media, but use the promo code PORTAL, and you'll get 60% off your annual VIP membership. That deal is only on the table until April 23rd, just before the stroke of midnight. Don't go anywhere. Trav and I are coming back to talk the latest in high school recruiting.